Order of the Culver County Council meeting for Tuesday, August the 9th, 2022. Roll call, please.
William Clevenger,
Here.
Bill Giffen,
Here.
Bill Ham,
Here.
Sally Ricciardi,
Here.
Rich West.
Joining remotely.
Sounds good. All stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I want everybody to know that this meeting is being recorded and your participation in the meeting is your consent to record, being recorded, and to the rebroadcast of this meeting, which will show up later on our town's YouTube channel. At this time, anyone online or in this room, please mute your phone or turn it off. First thing on the agenda is a review of the parking ordinance changes.
Sorry. I'm trying to get online, sorry.
Okay, no problem.
Um,
You're looking at me and I'm looking at you. I'm thinking, what am I supposed to be doing here?
Yeah, the only thing that we've added since you saw the last version is, and I don't know how we do this, we're gonna need Jim's input, but so a while back, we changed our parking ordinance to allow the school to have restricted parking on Lakeshore Drive, where they can only park like a certain time because of drop off. Well, they want to change their drop off and allow now parking anytime. So we either need to delete the ordinance that had restricted that, or we need to add it to the amendments that I made. I don't know.
You need to add it to the amendments.
Okay,
You can just add that you're eliminating that restriction.
okay. And then before I actually have you do a read on this, we looked into the county road, okay, over by West Shore where you have Chadwick
Right.
condominiums. We talked about making that a one-way going in one entrance and out the other, where we would have a don't enter on one side. Well, the side where we would come, where you come to the curve from our side of town, that's where we want to put the no entrance. We own that little chunk of road going in there. Beyond it, where houses were built later, that's a private road. And the one behind Chadwick, we believe is owned by Chadwick Shores, the condominium units. So I checked with the county, and because on GIS, it says access road. And they believe that it's privately owned as well. So we could still, according to, I talked with Commissioner Overmeyer about it, we could still prevent access on our road, make it a one-way, and then we could still put entrance into the one-way on the opposite end, but you're entering onto a private road essentially.
Mhm.
So before we do a final or a first read on this, I'd like to add that little piece that we know is ours. I don't know for a fact, but some people think that that private piece may have been deeded to us at some point. So I still need to try to figure that out. But on GIS, it's looking like it's privately owned. So I don't want to do a first read until we've clarified that. I'll probably want to just delete the one with the school and then put what the parking is in the amended one. Because we had like 3 or 4 Lakeshore Drive ones on that list. And I want to update that list to reflect the
Okay.
school parking. And that could then override the deleted one, but the one we did originally was just Lakeshore Drive
Right.
parking. So that's where we're at with it. I don't want to do a read until we get that
To be
cleared up.
continued.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
exciting stuff, but
All right,
I mean,
and a headache at the same time.
yes.
Okay, next on the agenda is the unsafe building update. I can tell you that we're moving forward with everything, and at the end of this week or the beginning of next week, we'll request bids for the demolition on 709 Obispo. It must be published twice, 1 week apart, and they'll be published in the pilot. We'll open those bids on our September 27th meeting, which is our next meeting, and determine which bid to accept. Then we'll let the contractor know that we may proceed, and they will have 90 days to tear it down. We will appropriate the money to pay for the contractor. These timelines are all subject to change due to any potential litigation. So that's the update that I've got for everyone on the unsafe building right now. Town manager report.
All right, a lot of status quo on, especially on the NDOT projects. Although just an FYI, on State Road 10, where we were fixing, where Troyer Group was paying to have the drive into Culver Power fixed, that got started. It should be done this week. Or I believe they were doing one half today and tomorrow and the other half next week. So they can still allow access into that shop. Slate and Jefferson Trail, as well as Lake Max Phase 3, Mike Reese told Bob and I that they will be scheduling a September meeting because that one's starting to come along. The environmental is getting done. I sent a inquiry to Culver Academies on the easement. Mike also talked to us about the fact that this will take a trail easement that's done separately from our utility one. And we may have to do some work there. I'm not exactly sure, but he said it goes through a different process and there's forms that Troy Group's working on. So there may be more legal work on that. Just heads up, Jim.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Water project proposal for Midwestern, I skipped past that because that's related to that. The new well, we haven't begun drilling, even though we have a signed easement from Wade and the council. As I let you guys know in the report, we used boilerplate text from item thinking we were good to go. They have somebody there who would like even more restrictive language added to that. I talked to Wade about it today. We're going to sit down and I'm going to show him what that paragraph is and see if we can't get them to sign off. In the meantime, they did form their LLC, so that may also be written into that where it's to the LLC versus him. Lucky for us, that had not been recorded yet. We had sent that to item asking for, you know, can we move on now with our drilling? And we got back somebody who said, oh, I'd like to see this. I'm gonna hop on down. The Park Cellar project, we had our pre-construction meeting with Thomas Excavating. We were hoping to complete construction on this in the fall. That's going to completely depend on whether or not the playground equipment comes in. There's quite a lengthy lead time for that, mainly because of supply chain issues. So we're going to kind of play that by ear depending on when that equipment arrives. They don't want to start pouring, you know, cement, asphalt, etc., until that playground equipment is here. Beach Lodge building, they're ready to start that as well. This is the same company that won the lowest bid on the Stellar project. So we were trying to time that together. They will probably go ahead and move forward with that project while we're waiting on the other one to get equipment in. And now that the park hours are going to change, that makes more sense for us. Under town manager updates, the memo we sent and attended the commissioners meeting. I've had a call with Matt Pitney, who's sending me CAD reports. We'd like to see some other follow-up with that. We'll let you know how that goes. Comprehensive plan. We've still been doing the public engagement, starting to get some postcards coming in. And MACOG has been meeting with the Culver Crossroads team every time we meet. Next meeting will be the 4th Thursday of the month. Community crossing grant, the deadline for this is August 31st. If you guys recall, when we applied in the first round back in January, one of the documents required is a letter that says the town will make a match on that grant. It's a 75% total project grant to 25% match. So I've drafted a letter that was similar to the one you approved in January. And if you guys remember, we won one of the 2 projects we submitted that had the 7 pieces of road. This project on Lakeshore was the one they didn't accept, and that's why we're reapplying for it. So I've drafted a letter that you would authorize Bill to sign that basically says we have budgeted funds in our paving budget that would go toward this match and that we can make the match. And I have to have that to be able to submit the grant. That grant's not due till end of month, but I am away from the 25th to the 30th, so I'd like to get it in early. And this has to be done first.
Why don't
So-
I go ahead and read that so everybody knows exactly what it says? It's dated today, August 9, 2022. Dear Community Crossings Grant Review Committee, this letter is to provide notice to the Grant Review Committee on behalf of the Town Council of the Town of Culver of our financial commitment to the Community Crossings Grant request attached herein for street, sidewalk, and curb improvements in the Town of Culver. Town of Culver has budgeted funds of $149,394 towards the local match of the projects applied for through the Community Crossings Grant Program as our first priority. The budgeted funds are sufficient to cover the 25% local match for the Community Crossings project if awarded. Thank you for your consideration. Sincerely, Bill Githens, Culver Town Council President. So we need a motion to accept this letter and for me to sign it, to give it to Jenny and send off to the grant people.
So
Review
moved.
committee. Is there a second? Motion made by Bill Ham, seconded by Sally, to approve this letter and authorizing me to sign it. We need to do a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Clevenger,
Aye.
Mr. Githens.
Aye.
Mr. Ham.
Aye.
Ms. Ricciardi,
Aye.
Mr. West.
Aye.
Okay, great, thank you.
Jenny,
Broad-
before you leave the crossroads and the paving grants, I sent you an email about this, but are we going to do everything possible to coordinate the fiber burying with the resurfacing those roads so we don't have a lot of redo?
Possibly. It's the current grant that we have from round 1 of this year, that's already under contract. And it's very likely those chunks of road will be done long before we're ready to install fiber. So, and most of the fiber though, Rich, will end up in the right of way, not in the roadway.
It's gonna be bored.
Yeah, and they'll bore it under. So I don't know if we were doing a sidewalk or trail project. Yeah, we would want to try to time that. But I think
Okay.
our sidewalk projects will come long after this. They don't go to construction until 2024.
That's fine. If they're going to bore under most of the streets, that's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just so you know, on that project too, Bob and I are gonna set up a meeting with Bourbon and Plymouth, who've worked with SURF and already been through sort of install stage, to sort of learn what are some of the things we need to be aware of, how to do permitting, because Culver doesn't have a permitting process. Bourbon did theirs one way, Plymouth did it away. So we thought we'd collaborate with some of the people we work with in the city and in Bourbon, and I want Bob to have input and voice in what takes place with that project, because there's going to be location of utilities and that sort of thing. Broadband task force. I think, as you guys know, the CRC approved the funding for this project pending Phil Facenda's review of the resolution that I wrote. Phil has reviewed that. I forwarded that on to Sally. It'll go out to the rest of the CRC tonight. He made some minor tweaks to make the language even broader than I had it, because he's seen a few of these for the Readi grant, and that's how we're writing this, is as a match for Readi. Sally approved the changes, but I thought we'd forward that on to CRC. I will have to get the CRC members to come in and sign it because it was pending Phil's approval and Phil's approved it. So we're ready to move forward with that. And in the meantime, as you probably saw on TGL, I did put out the press release that you guys authorized. SURF also reviewed that because I wanted to get a quote from their CEO, and they were kind enough to take a look at it. Crossroads Culver, again, their main mission right now is the comp planning process. They meet again 4th Thursday of the month. Readi grant status. As you know, we're applying for a housing grant with the project on South Main Street, and the CRC also approved that. So we will close my office door for the next couple of days and wish me luck. It's going to be an interesting application to get that done on time. Blue zone status, just wanted to let you know, Bourbon has now come in also with a match on that. So now Bourbon, Bremen, Plymouth, and Culver have matches, and then the county, the Readi team went before the county Monday morning, and they have provided a $2.2 million match on 3 Readi projects, one of which is Blue Zones. The other 2 are the Lifelong Learning Network, Career Innovation Center, and also the nursing lab for Marian Ancilla College. And if you want to know more about those, pop in my office. The Crossroads team is sponsoring those 3 projects, and the county is making a match on those. And then skip over annexation of Tamarack Road. That's related to the housing development, and there's nothing we have to currently take care of. But so you know, Sally, Phil is ready to start creating the new TIF area for CRC. And I told him at your CRC meeting, I would ask for the CRC to approve of his expenses to get that going. So we had a good conversation about taking that on in conjunction with this Readi application. And that is it.
Thank you, ma'am. Department head reports. EMS, Jeff, are you on?
I think he planned on me, but you might not have realized we'd get to him this quickly.
That might be, let's skip on down. Fire, and I don't see Terry. Police. Wayne?
I have a lot of staff weekend. Pretty soon, or the better year. I think that's the 4 months, that all went pretty well. A couple weeks ago. And as you know, sent you an email, extend our application process. Part of our application.
Thank you, sir. Amber, are you on for park?
But later too.
Bob, are you on for utilities? We can come back to him. Nope. Clerk's report.
I just have a couple of claims over $2,500 that I need your approval on. The first one is Michiana Contracting for $6,890.60. And sorry. That's for a replacement light pole for in front of the doctor's office. For the eye doctor that keeps getting, which hopefully now is protected by some concrete ballards.
Are the
And it won't
ball-
happen again.
Ballards in this too?
No, I don't think.
Okay.
I'm sorry. That, Star uniform, $9,417, and that's for EMS uniforms. And then this one, is Thomas Excavating and Welding. It's for the park improvement project to get the playground equipment ordered. And that is for $139,448.84. And that is, we're going to go ahead and pay it out, and then we will get reimbursed. by you.
Move to accept for the clerk's claims.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Bill Clevenger, second by Sally to approve the clerk's claims over 2,500. Roll call, please.
Mr. Clevenger.
Aye.
Mr. Githens.
Aye.
Mr. Ham.
Aye.
Mr. Cardy.
Aye.
Mr. West.
Aye.
The other thing that I have, well, I've got two more. Capital assets, I would like to request that you approve the engagement letter for John Peterson to do our capital assets once again for 1,000, or update our capital assets for $1,950. That is something that I have to have on the annual report, and it's got to be a certain way. And so we give him that, the information to update, keeps an updated copy.
Is it done every 2 years? I mean,
No, it's every year,
oh, it is every year.
because we have to keep the capital assets updated,
Update, okay.
because it is something now that State Board of Accounts audits.
Okay. So it's an annual charge. Is there a motion to approve the charge? Again, please,
$1,950.
So moved.
1,950. Motion made by Bill Ham, seconded by Sally to approve capital assets contract for $1,950. Roll call, please.
Mr. Clevenger.
Aye.
Mr. Githens.
Aye.
Mr. Ham.
Aye.
Mr. Chardy. Mr. West.
Aye.
Yes.
And then, as you all know or may not know, it is budget time. All of our favorite times of year, or all of our favorite time of year. I am sorely behind the 8 ball. So we should have had meetings last week with the council and work sessions. I'm asking that we get those scheduled next Wednesday and Thursday, after beginning at 2:00 in the afternoon, so that we can probably meet before some of our employees need to go home. And then the rest of us aren't pulling, 10 and 12-hour days. So if you could block your calendars out about like 2 to 6 on both of those days, I'm going to try to work with the department heads tomorrow morning and get those meetings scheduled, and then I will get a schedule out to you. I'm proposing that rather than kind of saying, well, we're going to meet with these three this day, we'll set an hour, we'll meet at 2:00 with police, 3:00 with art, and so on. But then I'll also get,
Everybody will have a designated
they'll
time.
have a time, so then they're not sitting through meetings that they don't.
Got it.
The other thing is I will reach out to those groups that ask for support each year and let them know the time that they can come and get their presentations.
Which one is the interstate?
Not tomorrow,
17th.
next week.
That's
It's too late for tomorrow, and I'm not ready, and you don't have any numbers, so, which I think we're all gonna need a little bit of something to process all of that. So.
Good.
But that's all I have.
Bill, I do have one more thing to cover.
Sure.
We have a citizen who lives on Tamarack Road 17257. A while back, they connected to our sewer. They're not annexed in the town, but they connected to our sewer. And what we do in those situations is if they agree not to fight annexation, we allow them to connect at their cost. So they are connected to us that way, and they are on NIPSCO electric. They are interested in us annexing them because they don't necessarily need to connect to our water, but they would like to connect to our fiber when it comes to town. So they asked me to run this idea by the town council if there would be interest in annexing them.
Are they contiguous to those areas that we're talking about annexing? Pardon me?
Yeah,
It's
they're,
north of town.
it's,
Oh, north of town.
if you look at the high school across the street from 10, it's that property that's being built
Oh,
there.
yeah.
And then I believe the one next to it is also connected to our sewer, where we had the same agreement, which is why he came to us on this, knowing the neighbor had that agreement. So it's
So I have to run water over
across
there.
the street from us.
That's sometime.
He does not want to be connected to our water, apparently. He's just
You better
interested
get that in
In writing.
writing.
And I have had numerous people ask how they can get fiber who are not in town limits,
Yeah.
but are on the lake. So word is out, we're getting fiber. So I will share with the county and the township and the academy the alternate quote that we did get in that RFP in case there's interest.
You know, the
in
REMC
pursuing that.
people are gonna try to explore outside town limits. So,
Maybe the East Shore wants to be annexed.
I don't think so.
There are people on the East Shore that would love to be annexed. That is true.
Okay, well,
So if you're
So
interested in
nothing
me,
ventured, nothing gained.
nothing ventured, nothing gained.
if you want me to look further into if they would annex without the connection to water at our expense, or how do we do that? We did not put this obviously in the
Right. RFP.
fiber
Yeah.
RFP. So I would assume he would have to pay to connect to wherever we stop. I can look into that with surf. You know, I don't know what you'd like me to do there.
But you're gonna have to be careful that the surf's not overstepping boundaries with
Another area.
the REMC people.
Yeah.
Question for Jim on the water issue. If they sell that house at a later point, would we be obligated to then extend water if the new owner wanted it?
Your best bet is to try and get something that would run with the land and, so that it can be recorded. So not just signing something that says,
Mhm.
I don't want water.
Mhm.
It's gotta be
Recorded.
some recordable document to give you a little more footing.
You're setting precedent here.
You would be.
We extend sewer to somebody around the lake prior. to-
I think we have in the past, but
Yeah. I mean, it's not.
You do have sewer extended to this guy's neighbor, I think Peterson's. That's a couple down.
But when you did that again, there was a waiver of annexation or they would
There
agree
is
to come in and
annexation. They didn't.
can't remember.
And they, you know.
It's just something we gotta research.
I think that'd be
We
appropriate.
just need to research everything, all possibilities.
I can take that step at least. May
Yeah.
not be in the next 5 days, but
No,
Yeah.
no, not expecting that.
all right, I'll leave it at that.
I think that's good.
I think the sewer issue though is different than the broadband because the sewer, if they're within a certain
Yeah,
amount
the
of feet
state law
of a-
requires you to
of a sewer
connect,
system,
Right.
they have to connect. So you're looking at two separate
right?
Two separate
separate
animals. Yep.
issues. But one is required and one is.
No,
Mhm.
I have a question. This would be a property on the north side of 10, correct?
it's the new big house,
It's the new house
the
there,
new big house.
right? And they're already on our sewer? Are there other? That house back to the east, are there other properties that are on our sewer?
There's at least two. One, their septic failed. And when it failed, because they're within so many feet of the town sewer, per state law, they had
They
to
had to
connect.
300 feet.
The same was for new construction that went in on the north side of State Road 10 and had to, because they were within those 300
Okay.
feet, they had to connect as well. So.
And as
Yeah.
far as annexation on those properties, does the county have to approve that?
I think the county signs off, yes. That annexation statute changes about every general assembly, so.
That
Hence
is,
more research.
that is true.
When we put the sewer in, they didn't open up, they didn't cut 10, did they? They just went underneath.
Mhm.
Could we go underneath with water?
Probably.
Probably.
They've got a well.
Well, wait a minute,
I don't,
nice. If they want to be annexed bad enough, take the whole package.
that's why we need to
Yeah,
do some homework.
exactly.
It's a lot more expensive for the town to run water than it is sewer.
The sewer's already there.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing that up.
My pleasure.
It's kind of
Being
gal
into the
shit.
You didn't have enough.
I just put stuff on my plate, that's all.
Anything else, ma'am?
No,
Okay,
I'm
let's,
sure there is, but I'll remember after we're done.
let's go back. Is, Jeff, are you on? For
No
EMS?
one's.
Nobody's on? Okay, let's move forward. Attorney's report.
Attorney's
Oh, yeah, I'm
report.
sorry, you're done. Are
I
you
am
done?
done, yes.
Yes, sir.
I really don't have much. I forwarded you a copy of the notice of filing of record and the first page of the record of proceedings and the second page of the record of proceedings, which was the table of contents, just sort of for your information. However, if any of you are interested in seeing the entire record, I'd be happy to have my assistant send it to you over digital form and via the internet.
In other
Uh,
words, it's sizable.
Pardon me?
In other words, it's sizable.
It is a bit sizable.
Where does it get fiber?
Okay. So the ball now is in the court of the petitioners to complete their brief. And then once that's done, we'll submit our side of the thing. And we're still on track for an October 4th hearing.
Okay,
So
that's the hearing date, is October 4th?
yeah, that's the hearing date. And this really isn't business, but I just kind of want to follow up with this. The Culver contingency at the commissioners meeting, last meeting time of your town manager, of your town police chief, and of your EMS director handled the issues admirably.
Oh, well, thank you, yeah.
So just kudos to the three of them.
Well, and the reporting by the news media was very accurate, so if you listen to the recording, thank you for your comments.
Yeah. And that's all I have, Mr. President.
Anyone online or present for utility shut off or ordinance violation? And then citizen input. Anyone online for citizen input? Anyone in the room for citizen input? If so, state your name and where you live and have at.
Tracy Fox, 301 River Shore. I just wanted to say thanks to the town leadership for your participation in the Main Street Exchange that we had here on Friday, July 22nd. If you're not familiar with Main Street Exchange, it's an Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs endeavor where they select about 4 Main Street organizations from across the state to host other main streets from across the state to come to our town and learn about what we're doing and the different priorities we have. And then also the exchange part of it is for us to share information and learn from them. So I want to especially thank Bill and Jenny. You guys did a great job sort of setting the stage. We had about 24 main streets represented from across the state, everywhere, Noblesville, Kokomo, I remember New Carlisle,
Bluffton.
North Warren, Bluffton, North Vernon. So it was great. We had Karen Schumann, Amber, Marty, Don, and Don Brocky actually give different parts of presentations to talk about the role that Develop Culver has played in a number of different initiatives. And then also, I think Jenny did a really good job talking about the collaborative approach that our town takes to different projects. So it's great. We actually got to have lunch right next to the mural that was being painted. And then they got to see a soft launch of the Waterways exhibit that's at the library right now, this Smithsonian. So I think everybody walked away having a really good sense of Culver. And I think we all learned a lot from each other about what everybody's doing, because we get bits and pieces of it throughout the months, but never a full picture. So again, thank you for your leadership and really appreciate the involvement of the town on that. And I know Bill and Jenny, you guys were there, Rich was there. Looking around, I know Patty, you couldn't make it, we missed you. But yeah, really appreciated your leadership there. So.
Well, thank you for putting that on. I mean, you know, and it was just a perfect day for it. Beautiful day.
Yeah, she ended up taking about a half a dozen of them having to go afterwards. So
Oh, good.
just showed them the whole Culver
I
experience.
think didn't Marty take people out on his boat
We
too?
did, and then we did.
You guys did a great job organizing that.
Yeah.
Amber did a great job as well. She
I
was
think they really enjoyed themselves.
fun.
It was neat to see Amber in her element as a
Yep.
young professional and have her intern there, and both interns from the park and from visitor center. So
Georgia did a nice job.
I think it also goes a long way toward enhancing our relationship with Okra, which
Oh, yeah.
with grants is an invaluable thing.
yeah, absolutely, Rich.
Good point, Rich.
There were 4 Okra representatives there. Even Jerry White, who's like our longtime Culver cheerleader, so.
He's great.
Super. You're welcome. Thank you. Any other citizen input?
I got Jim on 451 Lakeview. Back to this thing with the radios, and in reading what was in the paper the other day, I felt just from that report, what was in the paper, that Culver did do a really nice job, and I'm thankful that the council acted as quickly as they did when they found out that there was a problem. I think that's worrying me is that the very next day, there was, the sheriff responded. And I don't have a whole lot of confidence that anything's gonna happen. What can we do to make certain that things move along? Because obviously something's broken.
Just keep it on the forefront, you know, with Wayne and Jeff and
Do we have to continue to send Wayne and Ginny there occasionally?
may have to,
Okay,
quite honestly.
okay, fine.
You know, squeaky wheel gets the grease.
I'm all
Yeah,
for it.
Yeah.
I did, Matt Pitney got in touch with me the next day to send CAD reports to me. And I said, I really prefer more than a report and more than the number of calls we've had, that sort of thing. I said, I really want to see active solutions forming. And if we need to take the lead on that, tell me who to contact and how to get those people together. Wayne is part of the advisory council, and he knows these issues have gone before the advisory. It's an emergency services advisory council. And so they are aware of the problems because they've attended those meetings where they get discussed at quite length. But we're just gonna have to keep the pressure on.
Excellent.
And this is the first time, you know, it's come back to a town that's actually gone and spoken before and, you know, tried to move the issue
And
along.
interestingly enough, we weren't the only town experiencing the trouble.
Oh, no,
But thankful to everyone here in this room, we got something moving, and I'd like to see it continue to be moving.
Wayne's been talking about it for I don't know how many years.
No.
And, you know,
Thankfully, it was very blunt. But
well, there are,
I appreciate that.
well, we all know that there are issues up there and it's, you know, training is just not a one-day deal.
Well, and another part of the issue that Commissioner Overmeyer brought up is, so for example, there's one tower in the entire county. Those are very expensive to purchase, so there is a tool the state of Indiana allows counties to use, and some of them use it. That's a LOIT tax that generates money only to be used on emergency services. So it could be that we will need to fill the room with people if considering something like that, because there isn't a single emergency services department in the county that isn't struggling financially to purchase the ambulance. The same struggles we have, they all have. Wayne knows, Jeff knows, Terry knows. And there's no other way to create more revenue. You know, we can only bill so much at the EMS. As you know, we're a volunteer fire department. They still have to buy equipment and operate, and you know how expensive that gets. So if the county commissioners or county council are ever going to consider that LOIT, last time around, there wasn't even a vote on it. There wasn't any discussion. You had letters of support from all of the towns in the county, and they didn't even discuss it. So if we want to see something happen, we're going to have to be actively proactive about it, put the pressure on accountability, and keep it in the news, for lack of a better term.
That's right.
I know how to drive up there. Just tell me when to go.
Yeah. And I think we're willing to do that.
Mhm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jeff and Wayne did an excellent job of being professional and presenting the issues, and I feel like the commissioners listened.
Any other citizen input?
So
Same thing. Okay. Moving on. Council issues. William?
Last Thursday, I attended the EMA quarterly meeting in Plymouth. Reminder that local entities, including Culver, must be current and compliant in all facets, or if we're not, we will not be eligible for federal reimbursement. We have a disaster.
do they mean like NIMS training for
Pardon?
that, or is that involved NIMS training? What
Mhm.
do council members have to get certified in NIMS again?
It'd be recommended.
Because I remember when Sally and I did that,
Yeah.
I think my first year or two on
Yeah.
council. They required it back then, but I don't know.
I can check on that, but
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know what the requirements are, to be honest, Bill. If I can help out with that, if we can.
Everybody that's connected. Levels, not the whole DIMS system.
Yeah.
But they are required to take
Various steps.
various steps.
Okay.
So if we did that 15 years ago, does that still meet the requirement?
I think it does. I mean, I don't know, but
Do you have to renew every 5 years or anything like that?
not the
You just have to do it like one time?
procedures.
Got it.
Oh, we're good, Sally.
Bill, we need to go to school.
They're very interesting classes. At
Well, I'm
least.
sure,
You do
yeah.
learn a lot. Clyde does a great job teaching
Oh, he
them,
does.
in my opinion.
Very good. Anything else, William?
Nothing.
Sally?
I have nothing.
I have nothing.
No, I have nothing.
Bill, Rich.
Oh, Rich, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Bill, I thought you were gonna forget me. No, just two quick things. Also at the county commissioners meeting, Ginny and Marty did a great job on their presentation for the Crossroads team, both especially on the Ready grants, which in the blue zones, which was not an immediate sell, but I think Ginny made some points there. And then the second is just to congratulate Karen on her appointment to the Ames board. I think that's a prestigious thing, and I'm happy that she's representing us there.
Amen.
Amen.
And
Okay,
I am NIMS certified also.
is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All those in, go up, roll call.
Mr. Clevenger.
Aye.
Mr. Githens.
Aye.
Mr. Ham.
Aye.
Mr. Chardy.
Aye.
Mr. West.
Okay, aye.
I'm gonna have to talk for another 12 minutes.
He can be disconnected.
Bob is about to jump on.